And so in Facebook ads, everyone has a really hard time, especially in physical therapy, writing ads because they always get disapproved or their ad account gets shut down. And 9 times out of 10, it's because you broke Facebook's ad policy that you can't assign a negative attribute to a person. You can't say, do you have back pain or do you have incontinence? Like, you can't say things like that. But what you can do is talk about the secondary and third level problem that's created by that core issue that you solve. So if it's incontinence, you got to think about, okay, what problems are caused by incontinence? Well, what are some problems caused by those problems? So one story that this particular therapist had was that one of her clients was really sick of, like, every single time she sneezed, she had to, like, cross her legs. And so the messaging we wrote for her ad was, tired of having to cross your knees every single time you sneeze.
All right, we're rolling. Thank you so much for joining me, Jordan. I know you guys are—
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I've been so excited to make this happen because just seeing what you and Max and others, in your core group or have been doing online, and the messaging you've been putting out and the strategies you're teaching, it's really been inspiring to watch. I feel like an old guy, kind of like looking at the new crew. They're doing a good job. I like this. I like what I see, and it's been fun working with you on some of our projects as well. So glad we can make this happen.
Yeah, I can't tell you how much that means to hear. I mean, obviously, I've been a long time fan of your podcast. I've been listening to it since I was, a pretty young dude, just trying to figure out, how the heck to get, physical therapists to listen to me, not being one. And getting to hear you say that today and be on the show means a lot to me. So appreciate it.
Absolutely. So today, you guys have kind of transitioned, and you're really focusing on teaching practice owners how to bring their marketing kind of in-house and not having to spend a ton of money to, for firms to run their ads and all that kind of stuff. So you're teaching them how to do it themselves, which is great. And I wanted this episode to, my goal is to extract kind of the top things that you guys are finding are working for your practice owner, clients. What are those strategies? What are the tactics? What can my audience take and immediately, implement in their practice to bring in more patients and, especially cash pay patients. So before we dive into that though, why don't you just give us a little, for those who aren't familiar with you and Max and what y'all have been doing, kind of give us a little background on what brought you to this point, and then we'll kind of dive into what's working these days.
Yeah, perfect. So my name is Jordan Mather. I run a company called The Clinical Marketer with my partner, Max Zergel. And basically we specialize in training physical therapy practices how to implement and manage their own marketing in-house, because we've been doing it for 8 years. We know how easy it is when someone can show you a step-by-step process, and the transformation that you get to see in especially solo practitioners' eyes when they realize and learn how to fish for themselves rather than depending on other people to bring fish to them. It's a really great feeling. So we love what we do. That's the gist of what we're doing these days.
Right on. So what does that look like when you bring someone in and you're teaching them, kind of, let's say true beginner, great clinician, newer practice owner, and like, oh crap, I don't have any patients. And when I do get someone to call, like, I'm not sure how to talk to them and get them to go out and network, or, what is working for your clients these days, especially these days during the pandemic?
Well, it's a really beautiful thing. I mean, a lot of people think that they hate marketing, but in reality, they just hate the tech behind marketing, hate figuring out Facebook ads. But all marketing is figuring out, how to describe the problem that you solve for people. And so when we frame marketing from that perspective to someone who's brand new and doesn't really have clients, one thing that they are extremely good at is talking about how they help their patients, knowing, the stories and the transformations that they've been able to give people. So helping them frame those stories into a simple message and help them design an offer, and helping them realize that if you can master your messaging and describe the problem that you help people with better than anyone else, the people in your community are going to perceive that you have the best solution for them. So once people realize that all they have to be great at to be a great marketer is describe the problems that you help people with, people have a lot of success with Facebook ads once someone just shows them how to set it up, because Once you know how to set it up once, it's really repetitive and it's really easy. It's just, you need someone to show you how the first time.
Okay. So what does that look like more granular, step by step? Maybe you could use an example of one of your students, describing their offer, or describing the solution that they provided. You said describing the problem that they solved.
Right.
Give us some examples of that.
Yeah. So one example would be one lady that's in her program. She's a pelvic health specialist, and she wanted to attract women who have, or postpartum moms that had incontinence problems. And so in Facebook ads, everyone has a really hard time, especially in physical therapy, writing ads because they always get disapproved or their ad account gets shut down. And 9 times out of 10, it's because you broke Facebook's ad policy that you can't assign a negative attribute to a person. You can't say, do you have back pain or do you have incontinence? Like, you can't say things like that. But what you can do is talk about the secondary and third level problem that's created by that core issue that you solve. So if it's incontinence, you got to think about, okay, what problems are caused by incontinence? Well, what are some problems caused by those problems? So one story that this particular therapist had was that one of her clients was really sick of, like, every single time she sneezed, she had to like cross her legs. And so the messaging we wrote for her ad was, tired of having to cross your knees every single time you sneeze. And to someone who doesn't have incontinence issues, that means nothing. They're going to continue to scroll. So you're repelling the people that you don't want. But every single mother that has that problem is like, I know exactly what she's talking about. And you're showing at the same time as you're capturing their attention that you understand them on a deeper level than everyone else who's just talking about the, face value problems. You understand like on a more emotional level.
Yeah. So that's a great example. So Facebook won't let you say, do you have pain? Do you have incontinence? Do you have, whatever?
Right.
But it's not going to ding you or disapprove things, or at least it'll get through the initial bot algorithm if you're not using those kinds of like syndrome or diagnostic terms.
Right. As long as you're not assigning it to the person that's reading it, you're fine. What you can say, for example, is many adults needlessly suffer from back pain, because you're saying many adults, not you.
Not you. You're not.
That is the key.
Key
thing. Exactly. So
negative attribute, and then using the word you or your or something like that. It's like the reader, it's assigning it to them. Then it's just not going to go through. Okay.
Exactly. So we call in the first 2 lines of every single ad. One, just the calling out exactly who it is you want to talk to. Mothers of Milwaukee. Let's just say that. And then the second line, which is the most important one because it has the stopping power, what gets people to stop scrolling and feel like, oh my God, Facebook's listening to my conversations. Those are the kind of moments that you're trying to create. And we call those the relatability statements. It's basically a yes or no question that only your avatar is going to say yes to. And it needs to be like an emphatic yes. Like another example is a really popular avatar, which is men who actively go to the gym. They love the bench press, but they started having shoulder problems and now they can't really bench anymore. So a relatability statement that's worked really, really well is, have you been needlessly avoiding the bench press, or have you been avoiding the infamous bench press? And every single guy that loves going to the gym, everyone loves bench press. That's like everyone's favorite one. And so that spoke volumes to them, and that hit on an emotional enough of a problem where they don't only show up for that first initial visit, but those are also the people that are committed to solving the problem enough to buy a follow-up plan of care. So it's all about finding those emotional problems and asking yes or no questions that are going to get your people to raise their hand and be excited about solving the issue.
Okay. So you've hooked them in with the right questions, and at that point, are we like going into a long form? Where are you finding long form ads are going to be best bet, or are you finding in some niches that like shorter ads work? Like where does it go from there?
So there's a lot of different strategies, and there's a lot of different people that teach different things. And one thing that I'd like to make sure that everyone understands is that every single coach that's out there that has a program, their strategy probably works. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a coaching program. So you need to find the one that you can get excited about and that works for you, and then move forward with that. So the strategy that we find to work the best is very, it's closer, it's kind of mid-range copy. It's very to the point. action oriented. We don't do ads that are just like, let's push out, video content and then retarget that video content, because those are really long-tailed marketing strategies where you have to be a much smarter advertiser to make that work. What we do is called offer ads. So our ads go directly to an offer, to something very, very specific, like a strong as a mother HIPAA assessment. Okay, so very clearly, this is something that is targeted for moms. It's for moms that have hip problems, and it allows people to take action right away. So you're capturing those people that are the most ready to come into the clinic right now, and that's what we're finding to be the best. So we basically, hi, moms of Milwaukee. Have you been avoiding the stairs? Are you hunching over grocery carts when you're or like leaning on your grocery cart at the grocery store? And say, I'm so-and-so, I'm doing something really special to promote my practice. For the next 20 people, we have $47 assessment for a strong as a mother hip assessment. And those have been working very well.
Okay, cool. So you'll push to an offer that's paid, but not maybe super high price. Or are you doing any high priced offer ads?
Yeah, so we go anywhere from $47 to $97. We've had success with all of them. And the price is just one of those levers that you play around with. If the quality is not quite there, increase the price of the thing. You're going to get the more committed people. But the most important part, and why we teach everyone, like, don't offer free stuff, at least not in your paid ads. When you're doing paid ads, do not offer a free thing, because you're going to get slammed with a bunch of freebie seekers. That's one, they might come into that initial thing, but they're never going to buy a follow-up plan of care. And that opportunity cost spent with that person is massive, when you otherwise could have been with someone who is excited, to pay $97 for that first visit. The second part of why we do that is because, we're not discounting an evaluation. That's super important. We're increasing the price on the free discovery session that they would normally have with that person. So then that $47 offsets the cost of getting that person in the door. And all of a sudden, we call it patient finance acquisition. And now your ads are basically paying for themselves with every single person that's coming in, and you just have to convert it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Because in the past, I remember when I was experimenting with some Facebook ads for my clinic, and I think lead ads had been out for a while, but it was the first time I had tried them, and it was like, wow, I got 20 leads in 2 days, and it wasn't just that they were freebie seekers. We couldn't get them on the freaking phone. Like, they wouldn't reply to a text. They wouldn't pick up the phone. I was like, yeah, I got all excited. And then at the end of it, testing that out, we were like, nah, screw that. We got to go back to sending them to an actual landing page, which was, wasn't converting nearly the same, but the people that actually went to the page and filled out the form there, as opposed to Facebook just auto-filling their information, but the point being, though, is that we were pushing at the time to a free consultation. And so when you, like, as far as coming to that conclusion of not doing paid ads to get free to book free consultations, aside from like the freebie seeker kind of thing, were there other components of the results of your ads or your clients' ads that kind of drove you in that direction? And what I mean by that is, like, when you put a price tag on it, were you actually getting more people saying yes, or was it just that you were getting so many freebie seekers it just didn't make sense?
Yes. So I wouldn't say we're getting more, because if you do the free thing, you're going to get flooded with people looking for free stuff. But when you have that paid offer, people are more invested in it. The quality of the people are higher. We don't like to run lead ads necessarily. We do run them every now and then, mostly for testing messaging. But we run a conversion style ad. I'm not going to get too techie on it. But we found that they work, exceptionally well. It repels all the poor people, the poor quality people, not the poor people, but the people who are invested in their health, and the ones who take their health seriously to the point that they don't want the cheap stuff. They don't want the Planet Fitness memberships. They are willing to invest and want to invest in their health. So the number of leads go down, but the quality skyrockets when you're doing this. And not only that, but you're able to reinvest that money back into ads and offset your costs of acquiring that person.
Okay. And so I'd love just for the audience to hear some more examples of different niches or different ads that you guys have seen really knock it out of the park.
Yeah. And I'm going to get to that in a second, but I want to drive something home on why we put a price tag on this. This is something that I was trying to remember, but it finally came to me. So another big reason why we always charge for everything is because, especially when you're advertising on Facebook, okay, you're advertising to a ton of people who are only problem aware, and they probably don't even know what physical therapy is yet. When you're advertising on Google, people are only looking for physical therapy. Those are only people seeing your ads. But when we're advertising on Facebook, we're drawing from a much larger bucket from people that are in various stages of the buying process. So they don't know what physical therapy is yet, or they have some preconceived notions that are probably false about what it is. So when you're offering something free, like a free email or a free discovery visit to a mass of people who don't know what physical therapy is, the perceived value of that thing is zero. So by setting a value and setting a price, people that don't quite get what it is that you do are able to be like, oh, this sounds like something that, is worth my time.
It's worth something. Yeah.
So it's a lot about managing perceived value of what your services actually are. That's a huge part of it.
Okay. And then you had mentioned like your tests between 47 and 97. Have you found that there's a massive difference in the amount of signups that you get with that? I mean, it's $50 difference, but like for some people, I mean, I could see the possibility of like the 97 actually selling as much in some cases. I don't know, but what have you seen in that realm?
It totally depends on what your ad budget is. If you're only spending $15 a day, if you have a $97 offer, it's going to take, instead of $20 to get a lead, it's going to cost $30. So they can absolutely get just as many or more leads, but it totally depends on how much you're willing to spend to acquire that patient. If you're willing to spend, if they're paying $97 and you're willing to invest $80 to acquire that lead, then, obviously you just have to ramp up your ad spend and it's going to be successful for you. So a huge element of how we choose where to price that is based on where we are. If you're on the East Coast and you live in Washington, D.C. or New York, if you have anything less than, $60, they're like, don't waste my time. So we found that, $97 in New York is the same as, $47 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So it very much depends on the, the fluency of the area that you're living in and the type of people that you're ultimately trying to attract.
Okay. And when you say, $80 to get a lead, you're talking about a paid customer at that point because they're paying for that assessment that you're charging. Okay.
Right. Not just lead.
Okay. So yeah, let's talk about more examples of ads. If someone wanted to, even if they weren't like putting money behind it, let's say they have a good organic following and they're just going to like throw up a post once a week or every other week that's like a direct offer post.
Yeah.
But what are some examples that have really done well for your clients?
Yeah, so two really, really big ones that have been crushing it lately are for runners, female runners. Men work just as well for getting leads, but they come in for that first visit, but then they don't buy a plan of care. Targeting women 35 to 55 who are just trying to keep running, keep up with their friends. That is a really, really good niche. Basically, like relatability statement that has worked really well for there is like warm-ups not loosening you up like they used to, like something like that, where it's just like, yeah, or not being able to keep up with your friends like you used to. So that is always a really good niche. Same with mothers with hip pain has been a really, really hot one as well. And that was the one that I used as an example, the Strong as a Mother hip assessment. That messaging has been crushing it. And basically, when we present offers like that, it's really important that you don't just say Strong as a Mother health assessment or a free discovery visit. Part of what we teach is making our offers extremely clear. And so we break our offers into little pieces and give each one of those pieces a brandable, recognizable name. And each one of those steps basically increases the perceived value of what that thing is. So it might be the exact same thing as, a free discovery visit or a free screen, but we call it the Strong's a Mother hip assessment, where you get, a hip history and injury review, a strength and mobility test, a 7-point mobility and flexibility assessment, plus a doctor's report of findings. It's the exact same thing, but one's just way more attractive and tailored, which, when someone reads that, they know they can't go to any other practice and get the exact same thing.
Yeah. It's cool. I'm working on some stuff like that in some of my other businesses, and finding those catchy names that you can, kind of make it your thing, your method, whatever. Adding numbers to it, that kind of stuff, the 7-point, assessment, that kind of stuff. It's amazing how it works. And I mean, I'm glad that now kind of finally we're starting to see those like yourself and Max who are bringing those types of strategies that we've all been subject to in all these other industries. We say yes and make purchases because of them all the time. Finally now let's use them in our marketing in a smart way, to help patients make the decision to get the care that they need.
Right.
Like I said earlier, problem aware stuff, that's big. Most people they know they have pain that's limiting them in some way, but they don't know what the best solution is. They don't even know all the different types of solutions that, are out there. So that's really cool that you guys are incorporating those types of things. So outside of paying for Facebook ads, are you seeing practice owners using other forms of marketing that are doing well with generating, new patients for their practice these days?
Yeah. So we have an extensive marketing plan that we basically plug our people into. It starts with Facebook ads because it is an incredibly effective way of growing and building your list with people that have your problem, that are at least, willing to pay. They might just not have paid yet. So it all starts with the Facebook ads. And a percentage of those people are going to convert right away. Some of them don't trust you enough. They just need to work. So that's where, online workshops have come into play, where we're not only, running ads to fill those online workshops, but we're also promoting those workshops to the people who haven't converted yet. And a big percentage of those people who haven't converted yet are showing up to those online workshops, and then they're converting. And obviously that skyrockets our initial the ROI of our initial investment for those ads. So our whole system is a combination of Facebook ads on the front end, then automated texting, emails, and online workshops to convert all of them on the back end.
Okay.
And that system's worked really well.
Tell us about the automated texting.
Yeah. So ours is very conversational because we're in an industry that requires connection. It requires, creating almost intimate relationships, especially in the cash PT space, because you're getting people not to use your insurance. So it's those conversations are paramount to getting them to actually come in. So all of our texts start off with we deliver them a voucher immediately. That's, it's branded, has the offer on there to give people that initial release of dopamine that they just did something cool. And then we don't push them to book an appointment right away. We do our best to start a conversation with them through this texting service. So we say, congratulations, you got one of these last vouchers, but before we go ahead and book your appointment, I want to make sure that you're a good fit and I have a couple questions for you. When's a good time to call? And then, we have an insane percentage of people that just reply okay, perfect, call me at this time. And then that's when the whole sale actually happens. And if they don't reply, then we just have about a 7-day texting follow-up system that's basically hey, are you still interested in this? Hey, just so you know, you still have your voucher, but if you don't get back to me in the next 24 hours, I'm gonna have to give it to someone else. And that one gets so many people. Once you take it away from people, they're oh, no, I do want it. And then that gets people to come in. So that's how we leverage it.
The voucher. So is this different than people buying a $47 assessment, or is this the same thing? They buy a voucher for the assessment, or?
Exactly. Exactly. So the ads are for the $47 thing. The voucher that they get is for that thing. We just want to make it tangible and make it real for them, because we know people on Facebook, they're there to be distracted. They're not there to, think very hard. So people are forgetful. And if you don't give them that thing, people tend to forget.
So they literally will pay for it, and then like they're not actually booking a spot. They're paying for the voucher, and then you're like, hey, we're going to reach out to get you booked. And,
I'm glad you asked that. So we do not charge people within our ad funnel system. When we do that, people get scared, and when they get to the credit card thing, they're like, no. So we found that the conversions are much, much higher when you don't collect the payment. You get them to take that initial step and get on that phone call, and then you collect the payment over the phone to confirm their appointment.
That makes a lot more sense. Okay. So it's a great way of getting, basically setting up a phone sales call by saying, like, with this voucher that you're signing up for now, you're getting a thing. It's not like they're just like, hey, call me, but you're actually going to get a voucher. And then, you reach out and say, before we book this appointment, I need to ask a few questions to make sure this is a good fit for what your needs are. And then, okay. Oh, that's brilliant. I love it.
You want to take it from a consultative perspective rather than, I'm just trying to sell you something. I want to have a conversation to make sure like we're actually going to get you a result, and people respond really positively to that.
Okay. What system are you using for the texting, and are there any kind of issues with HIPAA compliance, or do you kind of word things in a way where you're not worried about HIPAA?
Right. So there are a lot of different tools that are out there. All of our members, we plug them into our system. We use this program called Go High Level. We pay for the HIPAA compliance for them. So that handles HIPAA compliant text messaging, emails, landing pages, forms, surveys. So everyone who joins our program, we just give them that program basically for free. But the other programs that you can use are Twilio, Active Campaign just added one. I don't think it's HIPAA compliant. The HIPAA compliant text messaging is a tricky one, but Go High Level does it very, very well. If you were to go out and just buy it yourself, it's $297 a month. So it's a little bit more expensive, but it eliminates your need for every other marketing tool that you have. It's one of the only tools in the world. And I built software and ran a software company for 4 years, and in medical software. And I've never found a tool that has as many uses, but isn't just a cluster to use. Like, it's super, super well designed and made it super easy to use for people. So look out for that company, because they're going to take over. ClickFunnels is losing so many people to it. So definitely a program to look out for.
So they not only handle like texting and emails, but they like full on like actual sales funnels. Like you can set up a full on.
They went as far as putting a feature in that if you paste a ClickFunnels URL, it'll clone over the entire funnel for you in a second. And so ClickFunnels is trying really hard to like prevent them from doing that. And their funnel builder is identical to ClickFunnels, but it doesn't have bugs. And it even has like, I don't want to like go off on a rant, just spokesperson for Go High Level, but they even have like the online schedulers, and it's HIPAA compliant, and it allows you to take notes and have teams, and it has so many uses, but it's so easy to use. It's insane. So I have people in my program who are like, upper 50s, low 60s, who have no business being around a computer, who are able to use it. And I think that says a lot.
So with the HIPAA compliant texting, the user does not need to download an app of any sort or anything, but they found a way to make it encrypted. And wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. All right. So we got the combo of Facebook ads, as well as kind of continuing to market to those who don't convert at first, but you've got the lead through Facebook. You're marketing online workshops, offers, et cetera, through email. How are your clients doing now? I mean, are a lot of them still doing a lot of online workshops? We obviously put together that course, and I know they're still being used, in a really big way, but I'd be curious to get your kind of candid feedback on, like, are they still really well attended? Are people kind of like tired of sitting in front of another Zoom or webinar these days? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we do online workshops a little bit differently. Everyone loves your training, and you're incredibly good at the workshop like design and delivery. So what we do to make sure, one, people are there and people show up, is one, we supplement our email list with running ads directly to join this workshop. Okay, once people join that workshop, we usually have some sort of workbook or some sort of deliverable that we send to them through either Facebook Messenger or through email. And that gives us a reason it gives them, one, something to like look through and get excited about the workshop. And then it gives us a reason to reach out and start a conversation before that workshop happens. So what happens is most people are actually scheduling appointments prior or before that workshop even happens. And the ones who don't, you've already like reached out to, you've had some interaction with, they're actually going to, show up to that thing. So that's what we've been doing to really increase the show up rates, in addition to just normal, reminder and show up like text and email sequences.
Okay. So here's your workbook that you'll need for the workshop kind of thing. And then the outreach is, hey, just wanted to make sure you got your workbook.
Yeah, just a personal touch, like, hey, super excited to see that you signed up for the workshop. Did you get a chance to check out that workbook yet? And just start a little conversation with them. And then obviously that first connection can be automated through Go High Level. And then, once someone replies, it just notifies you that they replied. And that's when you start the conversation.
Okay, very good. All right, man. Well, we've kind of covered a lot of higher level things. And as far as like how to implement these things, like me, I'm like, I'd like to hire you guys to just kind of do this for me, but you guys got you're like, no, let me teach you. So tell us more about the program that you guys have put together to teach the step-by-step on all these things.
Yeah. So we were an agency for a really long time. And, when COVID first hit, all of a sudden paying agency fees was really, really hard on people. And we're friends with almost all of our clients. We get really close with everybody. And it felt, almost wrong to just be charging people this much when we know how easy Facebook ads really are when you actually know what the heck you're doing. So we initially started coaching people how to do this stuff themselves. And it started off as a 2-week program, and people got like really good results who have never ran Facebook ads before. So that's when we had this like aha moment where it's like, I think our duty and what like makes us different is like, let's make a small army of practices that are really good at doing their own in-house marketing. Like, what's a better way to change the public's perception of what physical therapy is than having really good marketers who are physical therapists? So that was kind of like the first initial concept. And then over, the months as we're perfecting these systems, and we invested heavily into figuring out like what is the best, not just marketing strategy, but the marketing plan. That's where the Facebook ads, online workshops, and the texting all kind of, fuse into each other. And so that's when we launched our 12-week coaching program that helps you, learn how to set up these systems, but puts a massive emphasis on helping you understand why all this stuff works, because the fundamentals of marketing never change, whether you're marketing on Facebook, Google, YouTube, those never change. Being able to craft a good message with an irresistible offer, if you can do those things right, you can royally mess up all the tech and you're still going to be in a really good place. So that's basically what our program teaches people how to do.
Just kind of step by step, click here, do that. You go into Facebook Ads Manager. This is what it's going to look like. You're going to choose this type of ad, like just A to Z the whole way through.
The whole way through. Like,
that's really valuable, man. That's awesome that y'all are doing that. And is this kind of, I know it's not like a timed thing, like people can get started at any time, right? And then they walk through the course and you have like a bunch of coaching along the way. How long have you guys been running? Like, do you have a number of people that are kind of towards the end of their first 12 weeks, or where are y'all at with it?
So this version of the program, which is like the final, version of it, we launched this back in beginning of like tail end of October, beginning of November. And so we have about 40 people in the program right now. And it's honestly, I've been looking for like what my core thing is. Like, I've been trying Like I declared like 8 years ago that I wasn't going to leave physical therapy until I changed it and made a massive impact in it. And I finally found that thing that I believe I'm doing that with.
Good. Well, don't leave. Don't. Right on. So, all right. So if someone wanted to check out the details of that program, where do they go?
That best way is to go to the www.theclinicalmarketer.com. That'll take you directly to our Facebook group where this is where we teach all of the strategies. And one of the questions to get into the group is if you'd like us to contact you about the programs we have available, and we'll have a conversation, basically make sure that it's a really good fit for you. So we want to make sure that not only we can get you a fantastic result, but you're also going to fit the culture of the community that we've built. So that's the best way to do it.
That website actually just forwards to the Facebook group.
Yep.
Okay. And it's theclinicalmarketer.com?
Yep. Okay,
cool. And then they just join their request to join and say, yeah, I'd like to hear about your programs. Okay.
Exactly.
Perfect, man. Well, is there anything else that I didn't ask about or bring up that you kind of wish I did, or any other strategies before we go that you're like, check this out, or resources that seem to be working well for the practice owners you're working with?
Definitely. I think the most valuable thing that anyone listening could possibly do is start changing the way that you talk about the offers and the services that you do for people. For example, at the end of your workshops, don't offer a free screen. Okay. At the end of your workshops, by offering a free screen, every single person in that audience knows that they can get that whenever they want, wherever they want. Every physical therapist in your community is offering that exact same thing. But if you offer, let's say one of our examples, Jenny, at the end of her workshop she's doing it for burn boot camp on incontinence, instead of a free screen, I told her to charge $97 and call it a Women of Burn Incontinence assessment. She was used to getting about 15% conversions, and she converted more than half the room with a higher ticket offer just because she tailored the name of it to her audience. So start tailoring the names of what you're offering to your audience. People are going to stop seeing you as a commodity, and they're going to be willing to pay you more for your services.
Awesome. Great point and great thing to end on. Thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate this. And I'm excited to kind of walk the path with you guys in this course. I know, my workshop material and all the online workshop stuff's in there. And so, yeah, and I'll be probably hopping in there to do some coaching with you guys too. It sounds
right.
Awesome. All right. Well, we will definitely do a part 2, hopefully in this year of 2021. It's so far it's off to an interesting start. We'll see if we can make it a better one than 2020, though. I mean, for the people that I know that you worked with, you guys are some of those that can say, like our students, really 2020 was one of their best years or their best year. And I've had a lot of those in my mastermind as well. So I'm really glad to put you guys in front of my audience and because y'all are doing it right.
I can't tell you how much that means to me. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Cash-Based Practice Podcast. If you liked what you heard here today, we have some extremely important things we want to send you. First, a quick start guide to cash-based physical therapy and Medicare. This free ebook will provide the primary rules and regulations surrounding this confusing but important topic. Secondly, we want to share with you the 5 characteristics common to all successful cash-based practices. Find out the vital things Jared has learned from years of interviewing cash practice owners and running his own successful cash practice. As one of our listeners, we want to give you all this information absolutely free. You can get it right now by going to drjaredcarter.com/success. Again, that's drjaredcarter.com/success. Go there now to get your copies, and we'll see you next time.